Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel today. I'm Kevin and today we're back to our first World War topic. Our topic today is about the geography and also the main character is Gallipoli. So for most of you guys who know about the First World War, Galipolli is a very popular place in the First World War which was meant to be dead by disease and dead by the flies because of 9 bitter months. So this is a very popular event, but it's not 100% of you guys who are sitting here know about this event. So I'm here today to talk about the Gallipoli event and why it's become the most disastrous campaign of 1915 with British. So as I said, for British and Imperial force, Gallipoli was the most disastrous campaign of 1915. At first, the plan had been to capture the Daneless Strait at the Galipoli, and after that, they stormed to the Constantinople, but the operation was doomed and broke down because of poor leadership and bad planning. The men who served in Gallipoli have endured appalling conditions as they fought through 9 bitter months of disease and bullets. And at the start, the time when the Turkish entered the war, they blocked their own strait, the Daneless Strait, to all enemy ships, including Russia. This cut off the Russians from their allies and trapped most of the fleet in the Black Sea. Already fully stretched by the war in Galicia and the Caucasus, they asked Britain for help. Winston Churchill, the future British Prime Minister, was the First Lord of the Admiralty and also in charge of the Royal Navy. He was convinced that if they could push through the Daneless Strait, Allied naval force would be able to capture Constantinople, forcing the Turks to surrender, and that way the British can get very big advantage during the First World War. So they made a plan to attack this place. Putting Churchill's plans into action wasn't going to be easy. The Dardanelles were laid with mines, cliffs overlooking the water were lined with guns and forts. In February 1915, the Allies had bombarded the forts at the mouth of the strait, ready to steam in. And on March 18, the Anglo-French armada of 16 paddle-ships thrust into the narrow strait. A French ship and 2 British were struck by undetected mines and sank, and 3 more ships were badly damaged with that. The fleet would withdraw, and of course, the British has go to take some minesweepers to clear the way. But of course, the heavy shelling from the shore made this become impossible. So the British changed their plans and decided to take a land attack, which means send land force to try to capture the Gallipoli Peninsula instead. On April on April 25, there are around 35,000 Allied troops went as far as Cape Helles, and 17,000 men from the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps from Anzac landed on the west coast. Then the landing went to plan. The Anzacs landed in the wrong place, a narrow beach, and was hummocked, which means surrounded with the steep hills, later known as Anzac Cove. Before they could clamber out of the cove, the Turks had already opened fire on them from the trenches in the high ridge above, and further south at Cape Helles, soldiers were shot down before they could even reach the shore. The sea is said to be turned red with the soldiers' blood. This is the sign of a very big failure in the plans of Churchill. The Allies has no choice but to push forward, because if they back down, which means the time that they come to this place is nothing means nothing, but instead they will get more interest because making time creates time for the enemies to attack. So they risk their life and push on. And soon both sides were digging into trench warfare. In August, the Allies sent in reinforcement, lending severe pay, but they still failed to break the deadlock and of course failed to get the supplies. It wasn't just enemy soldiers, men in Gallipoli, who is trying to fight, because after that, when the summer come, okay, when the summer come, and the intense heat become almost unbearable, drinking water grows scarce. The crops rotting in no man's land, now already buzzing with flies, and also began to reek. The flies has contaminated the soldiers' food, infected the wounds, and spread lots of disease. And this is the main reasons why Gallipoli became the place which known for 1,000 deaths of disease from the troops, and mostly from the Allies. And the dysentery raged through the trenches. Then the harsh winter set in after the summer. The number of sick soldiers soared. For some of you guys who don't know what is soared, that means increasing with an unbelievable speed, with men suffering from both frostbite and pneumonia. So with disease, with frostbite, and with the enemy's force attack. In November, the Allies decided to withdraw their troops, and by January in 1916, the last of them had left, which means died. They had lost nearly 50,000 men, most from disease, and had absolutely nothing to show for it. That means even though they lost 50,000 men from disease, from the enemy's attack, from the frostbite, but of course there is nothing they could get back. They had sold nothing in their journey and died almost all. So after that, the Russia has changed its government. I don't see why not. When your leadership create your leader create a very bad plan and also failed it completely with the loss of more than thousands of men in your army. And in that way, Russia, which means Churchill, had already resigned as a result of the failure. And the British government was replaced by a new coalition, soon to be led by a new Prime Minister, who is David Lloyd George. The people of Constantinople celebrate their proud victory, but of course, with the heavy damage from the Allies, the Turkish is getting a very bad wounds from in the army and in the economy as well, because though they get the victory of protecting the homelands, they still lost 87,000 men, and they all died while defending Galipoli, and the remaining army was in tatters. Okay, so this is all I want to say with you guys today, and for the reason that's why I'm looking in the book so much. So this is because this topic is a little bit too long, and this is quite late for me to make this video. I made and I posted right after I create and record this video. So I hope you guys forgive me this time, because I cannot forgive myself for this, but I don't really have time in this week, because this week is the week when I'm taking my final test for the years to get to the entrance examination for grade 10s. So I'll just make it as simply as possible so that I could take time for myself to study and to create more to create more things in my study process so that I could push my score up. Okay, so that's simply it. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys in my next video. And now I think it's time for us to say goodbye. See you, my viewer. Bye bye.